Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. We're back with the Ted Show. You know, one of my favorite segments on the show is anything to do with live music and any musician or the arts, anything like that. We'd love to support that. And so I'm excited to bring you Emily Daccarett. She is on the Daccarett. She is on the show. See, I knew I'd mess up, Emily. Emily Daccarett is on the show, and she is going to talk about Keep Moving Forward, where that quote is from. She's going to perform for us. We're going to talk a little bit about how we pivot, how we've all had to pivot during the pandemic, including our arts community, which Emily is a big part of. So welcome to the show, Emily.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm excited to have you. I'm excited to hear your music, but people want to hear the music, but they always love the story. So tell us a little bit about your beginnings. Are you one of those people that I mentioned earlier that used to corral the entire neighborhood and relatives together and sing in front of them? Or have you always known music is part of your life?
I was definitely the child that was getting in the middle of family reunions and dancing and performing. My mom, and I had forgotten about this, but my mom said that since I was very little, I used to make up little songs all the time and would just be singing them, and would always jump up at any opportunity to sing these little songs to my family. And so naturally went into dance because I loved it so much. And just I think that's where my love for music grew even more, because as a dancer, it's really hard to explain or to put into words the feeling of connecting with the music, with your body and what you're doing. And for me, as soon as I was on stage dancing, I felt like I entered a different world, and I was just one with the music.
I love it.
Yeah, so I always loved music and wanted it to be a part of my life. But when I decided, I also loved fashion, and from a very young age, really loved it too. Didn't quite understand what the industry was, but I just knew I need to be a fashion designer when I grow up. And my mom used to sew on the side, as a hobby, and I loved going with her picking out fabric. So it was always this thing of okay, well, will I go to the music side or fashion or dance? And eventually I just decided, okay, well, I would like to study fashion design and have that be my foundation. And I always felt like eventually music would come back into my life. Of course, once I was in college and studying, interning, then I just kind of thought, no, I can only do fashion. This is too much. So I studied in Paris. So
wow, you really went deep. I mean, when you talk about fashion, I'm always amazed when people say they've studied. If it's Iowa State University versus Paris, then Paris says to me, nothing against my Iowa State fans, but Paris says to me, you really took a serious look at making that your career.
Oh yeah, they work you to the ground.
But you love it, right? There's something, you're a creative at heart. So dance, whether it's dance, music, or fashion obviously is the one where there's just, to me, it just feels like I love clothes, I like color. And so I think it's amazing to be able to do. I can't match myself though. My wife does everything. So anybody who's got a talent for that, that's awesome. But as a creative, it doesn't surprise me that you also have a passion for other creative things like music and dance.
And that's the reason why I decided to move to LA. Because I just kind of knew that if I stayed in Paris and worked there, it would just be very one track,
Yeah.
And LA being such a new city when it comes to fashion, it just felt like this is the place for me to kind of figure out what kind of a designer artist I want to be, and also love film. So I decided to just come to LA and start my brand, because I would rather do it young and full of energy. So if I fall, I can start up again, not
Yes.
be scared to leap at starting my own brand, which was also advice I'd gotten from older designers. They were just like, if you want your own brand, do it now. Don't wait until you're our age and then you realize, well, I have all these responsibilities.
So
So
you created a clothing, a fashion brand.
yeah, and it was the with that first collection that I showed in LA and crazy. It was so crazy that I was showing for LA Fashion Week for my very first collection. It was something so insane and ended up getting like the prime spot for that week that had a lot of press there, like not American Apparel, Apparel News, Women's Wear Daily, just a lot of like big press for fashion. And it really kicked off as far as like my brand here. And it was with that show that I got back into music because I wanted to use this French song for the fashion film I had produced with Tiger House Films. And well, it was coming so close to the date, and we still didn't have the license for the song. We were waiting for an approval. So we decided to go with a film composer here in LA and just started talking, and he loved French pop as much as I did. So we started working on the song right then and there. We didn't have time to look for a lyricist or a female vocalist. And because I had done the vocals for the Runway music, they just kind of suggested, okay, well, you're going to sing and you're going to write because you speak French.
What was that like? Was it like, oh my God, I already have to deal with my show, my launch. Now I'm going to sing too. Like that seems like a lot, even for a creative who thrives on creativity.
Yeah, I was terrified for like the first 5 seconds. Like,
I
oh,
bet. I'm terrified for you.
yeah. But I was also excited and just wanted, the main thing is I didn't want to disappoint anybody because everyone was working really hard and I didn't want it to be like mediocre. So I was really scared about that too. But when I called my mom and talking to my mom, she was like, well, that doesn't surprise me because she had always been pushing me, write songs. And I just didn't want to anymore. I just kind of felt like, no, I can't.
Why?
And
What was holding you back? Because you wanted to focus on fashion and you
I
didn't
want,
want you.
sorry. Yeah, no, I wanted to focus on fashion. I was scared that I just wanted to be taken seriously as a designer and I wanted my brand to be taken seriously. So I didn't want to be like so many, especially because you do see a lot of artists that all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm a fashion designer now and here's
Yeah.
my collection. And it's like, well, no, because the most you've done is said, oh yes, that's pretty. Yes, I appreciate it. So I didn't want to be seen as that. And but I would always write, I would always have notebooks and be writing poetry. So she always wanted me to pursue that, my dad as well, but I was like, no, no.
What was the catalyst for you to decide to make the shift full time to music? Like was there something where you're like, all right, I need to pick one so I don't drive myself crazy? Or was there opportunities presented? How did you, because obviously you were focusing on fashion and then you've made what appears to be a shift toward focusing on music.
So I had worked on 6 collections, and on the last show, which I showed, so on like the last collection I did show in LA, but before that, the fifth one, I took it to Paris, New York, even Dallas and Honduras, where a lot of my family is from. So when I came into my sixth show in LA, I just felt really burnt out, and it was I had a lot of people come up to me after the show and just say like, oh, I can't wait for the next one. And I think just as the creative, you're just like, but I put my heart and soul into this, and I just want it to be like, to just enjoy its time, and to not all, and it, it's your baby, and you just feel like, but I just did this, and now you want another one. And so I just didn't really like that pace where it felt like, oh, okay, you're a designer, so you just crank it out. And like, I think people forget that designers are artists as well, and you need this time to kind of ruminate your ideas. And if you want to be innovative, and especially as an indie artist, that I don't have this huge team with me, I need to take my time. So that's when I decided that I just needed to kind of shift my brand in a way where I felt like I had the freedom to also pursue music, pursue storytelling, which I love through like both music and fashion, and photography and film. Of course, fashion is still something that I'm doing, and I'm not turning away from it. It's more just evolving it, and doing it in a different way, where also I really hate like not taking into consideration like the environment and the fashion industry. They do a lot of bad things. So and I think the big reason also is where people just expect, okay, I need a new collection, I want something new, and I want it cheaper, and I want it now. And so I just wanted to be like how I dreamt it would be, where it would be like you take your time, and you can make something very special for someone that will keep it, if for their lifetime or something like that. And I felt with music I could do that, because also music, I feel like you put it out and it doesn't really go away, whereas fashion does. Um, and so yeah, so those two things were just like really weighing down on me, and I just knew I needed to change so that I could still be inspired and excited to create. And going into music has just, it's like I fell in love again with fashion. I've fallen in love so much with songwriting. And right now I am working a bit more, like, focused more on my music and writing, and designing just smaller like capsule collections that are inspired by the music.
I
And
love that you married those, that is still something you didn't let go completely. You just sort of shifted the main focus to music, and then you're still able to put out the things that you want to do in a way that you decide, in a narrative that you wrote. And it's not the "what have you done for me lately" on the fashion, which is what I heard you say earlier. Like every time it's like, hey, that was great. Okay, 2 minutes after, when's your next collection coming up?
right.
What's happening? And so you don't get to enjoy that. With music, you're right. It's out there. Plus, I feel like music gives you that. You said fashion changes, you're right, but music leaves this indelible mark on people. And so your music's always out there. So you're reaching people in a memorable way that stays with them. I can't remember what I wore in the 80s. I'm sure it was really bad. But I certainly remember the music and what it meant to me when a song comes on. And so you're reaching people that way. What's the songwriting process like? Do you write all of your own? Do you collaborate? And if you do collaborate, what's that like in the world of the pandemic?
So the lyrics I write myself, the melodies. For my EP, I actually did write the tracks. And once I had those demos ready, I knew the perfect person I wanted to work with was the same composer producer who worked with me on all our fashion collaborations for like the fashion films and the runway music, and that's SP Snestades, and he's here in LA too. He's just this brilliant composer, an amazing friend, and so I knew he would be able to just elevate the music. And when it and as a film composer, I knew he would be able to add that cinematic element that I wanted in my music. That I wanted it to feel almost like you're you're in a movie and you are the star of your own movie, and the music is just, kind of like leading you to a
I love
story.
that. Yes.
So yeah.
So tell me what inspires you to write. You mentioned that earlier. You wanted to be, you got inspired again. What are some of the things that inspire you to write the songs? Because I think all of us have dabbled in. We had a bad breakup, so we're going to write a poem, or we're going through teen angst, so God knows what we write during those times. So what inspires you now? Given what the world's in, do you focus on love? Is love what inspires you? Other artists, what are some of the things that you take that you go, that's going to make a great song, or this is how I want people to know I'm feeling?
Yeah, well, a common theme that I do have in my music is that feeling of hope. I know it's a blend of, not so much in the EP that I put out, but the songs, especially the album I'm working on now, it's a blend of like melancholy, hope, and childhood innocence. Um, I'm inspired by definitely life experiences, and especially with the EP, it did have a lot of to do with like love and stuff. But I'm also, but there's one song, Red Light, that one I was inspired by this podcast I was listening to, and it was talking about the 1960s in LA, the Sunset Boulevard, and just the nightlife during the 1960s, and even the Manson murders. And so I'm listening to it, and I just was like, oh my God. So I got my notebook and I just started writing. And when that happens, it's amazing because you then have your song, or at least the lyrics, written in 5 minutes, and that's just so cool. So I'm inspired by different things. I'm a big movie buff, so I take a lot of inspiration from film.
I love that. You said you were a cinephile, right?
Oh, I am the biggest. Yeah.
I don't hear that word very often, so when you used it, I'm like, oh, she's definitely one. Don't use that word unless you are a movie lover.
Yeah.
And you understand. So tell us what you're gonna perform today.
So I'm going to be performing 2 songs, and they're both off of my EP, and we'll be making an appearance again on the new album, but very different. So the first one is Cannibal, which is also the title name of the EP. This song, I wrote it when I was mad. I was mad, and I just started writing. And afterwards, it was just so therapeutic, and I felt much better. And I think that's what I love about music and art in general. You can take these really like ugly emotions that you have and set them free and turn them into something beautiful. So Cannibal was that, and what the message of Cannibal is just, most of the times you put so much focus on other people, or like the person you like, or your relationship, work, whatever, and you completely forgot about yourself. And so you're constantly obsessing on other things that slowly turn you into the self-inflicting cannibal.
Nice.
And we just need to bring the energy back to ourselves.
I love that title. So all right, so Emily's gonna sing Cannibal. We're gonna look at Emily now instead of looking at me. Here we go. I'm excited.
And watching you for some time. Done my best to get to know you. And I feel like I'm stuck on the outside. But my barriers I can't break through. I don't wanna get used to the growing hunger deep inside. I can't control that, 'cause getting to you, I can feel it raining out. I can't need all that. me, it's not you I have to pursue to feed my hungry soul. It's me, it's not you that has to pull through to feed my hungry soul. How long should I stay here? Falling through hell and cravings for you. That I mean to turn into a hunter. Now my hunger needs you. Don't wanna get used to the growing hunger deep inside. I can't control it, 'cause got into you. I can feel it raining out. I can't be pulled out. Tell me what's on you. Thirsty for more. Thirsty for time for you. Still got to be my hungry soul. Be my hungry soul. Be my hungry soul. Be my hungry soul.
Okay, so you couldn't see me dancing, and that's one of the reasons why I really removed myself. That is so catchy. I loved it. I absolutely loved that. The music was up tempo, but you had a very introspective message for sure. But I loved every second of it. Yeah, I'm moving around, and then I caught myself once going, "Oh God, I'm off camera!" Right? Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you so much.
I absolutely love that. And that's on your EP and on your upcoming album.
Yeah.
Do we still call it album? I'm old, so I don't know.
Album. Yeah.
You do? Okay, good. Yeah. That's amazing. So Cannibal, guys, that was the name of that song. What's up next? Tell us.
The next song is Set Fire to the Fear. And this song started out as just an open letter to myself to just get rid of all the fears and everything that was keeping me from pursuing music and, you know, basically coming out into the world and saying, yeah, I sing and write too. Because with the songs that I had written before for my fashion shows, I never really promoted it as something that I had written. It was just, you knew if you were my family or part of my friend circle, but it was never something I really promoted. So yeah, that's what Set Fire to the Fear.
All right, let's do it. Set fire to the
fear.
Fear. I love it. All right, here we go, Emily.
It's now or never. No more drowning in the dark. I finally surrender to the direction of my heart. Say you understand me, but you feel it too. Tell me that you'll set free all you wanted to. I can't keep on singing, waiting for you. I can't can't keep on singing, waiting for you no more. Running wild in the dark, running in the stars, chasing it after the morning lights, dancing under the moon's night. Running wild in the dark, running in the stars, 'cause all my dreams are here when I set fire to you. Change for the better, as scary as it can be. Now my life's an open letter, and the story's up to me. Say you understand me, that you feel it too. Tell me that you'll set free, all we wanted to. I can't keep on singing, waiting for you. I can't keep on singing, waiting for you no more. Running wild in the dark, running in the stars, chasing after the northern lights, dancing under the moon's lights. Running wild in the dark, running in the stars, 'cause all my dreams are here when I set fire to you. Try to hide away, but I'm here to stay, and everything will be okay. Try to hide away, but I'm here to stay, gonna face it every single day. Try to hide away, but I'm here to stay, and everything will be okay. Try to hide away, but I'm here to stay, gonna face it every single day. Try to hide away in the dark, in the stars, 'cause all my dreams are here when I set fire to you.
Oh God, so dancing for sure on that one. What I love about your I love that song, beautiful. What I love about your performance on both songs is that you smiled. A lot of times artists don't smile in the song. Now I get it, if it's a super sad song, you don't want to be smiling through it, but you could feel your passion and getting into it and reliving the message. It was wonderful, absolutely.
Yeah.
You have an old school, for me, I'm old, so I can say old school feel, like almost an old school pop feel that I miss in our current music world very much. And I know that there are a lot of people like me that love that very much. All right, so how do people? You're a fan of what?
Hall & Oates, Man Eater.
Oh yeah, so yeah, your grandparents probably listen to that. My age, the Hall & Oates. That it's people used to call it bubblegum, but there's so much great verbiage that goes into the writing of the song, the actual lyrics, that it may have that feel to it. You want to move to it, but it definitely has a clear message that touches a lot of people. So how do people find your music? How can they get some of it? How can they follow you? How can they learn more about Emily Daccarett?
So on my website, it links you to everywhere, but also Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, YouTube. because I know sometimes I'll get messages from people out of the country that they can't listen to my music on Apple or Spotify. Because it's restricted there, but so you could always also check it out on YouTube. It's there. My Facebook page, Emily Daccarett Music. Also, I'm always like announcing when I'm coming out with new stuff, new singles, cover songs. Yeah, and on there you can find all the links to everything.
You guys go out and support Emily. That's amazing. I love artists who are following their passion, and you're obviously one of them. So, Emily Daccarett, thank you for being on the show. It was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys go out and support our artists, our artist community. We have so much talent like Emily. And so if you want to hear great lyrics and a great vocalist, go to Emily Daccarett Music, DaccarettMusic.com, or any of the pages that I've tagged. Thank you so much for being on the show, Emily.
Thank you so much.
You are awesome. All right, guys, we'll be back a little later. Follow Emily, reach out to Emily, buy Emily stuff. Let's support our artists. All right, guys, we'll see you.